would focus like, well, just compare you to me, right? So that's your job, right? You have this job where like you do like this real stuff, right? Like you tell people like,
Well,
what the
it's real only if you believe it, like if you believe
well,
it to be
but
real.
its end result is towards like, improvement and helping people, right?
That's it.
And helping yourself. So like your job is like really interwoven with like how you want to lead your life and how as opposed and as opposed to what I'm doing, where it's like, okay, I have to do my work, and then when I'm done with my work, okay, now I can kind of nurture myself and whatnot. And I guess as I'm saying that, maybe that's not, that's clearly not the right way to do it, right? It's
Yeah.
either finding work that's nurturing, like you said, or it's trying to find something in my current, work environment that like bring in that healthy stuff into that work environment.
Yeah. And actually what I would think, I mean, and I get into these conversations quite often with people actually. And it's a little bit of my own energy that I sometimes impose on them. But I believe that we are here for a reason, like a purpose. And you have a finite amount of time by which you can realize that purpose. Like this is a particularly dense realm that you've chosen to come to. And it's because your soul wants to grow as quickly as possible. Right? There are other realms that are far gentler, where you just meander a little bit more. But if you've chosen to come to this realm, you have the physical body fails like inevitably at some point. The mental, emotional body is always under assault, right? There's a degree of loneliness that seems to pervade almost everybody's life, no matter how active they are. At some point, they look around and they feel as if they're on their own because we feel very individualized here, right? Like all that creates a degree of suffering, which is all designed to push you forward.
Yeah.
And if we think that we've got 80 years to kind of maximize our time here, then we can start to look at the way we're spending our days and looking at our career. And we can say, okay, do I believe that that's what my soul really wants for this life? Right? Insofar as, are you growing? Are you expanding? Is this the journey that you feel is giving you the greatest fulfillment? And by extension, the ability to serve others. Right? And so if the answer is no, then it's a matter of a little bit of creativity and oftentimes a bit of courage to start saying, well, where does that fulfillment lie?
Yeah.
And it's rarely a matter of, as an earth sign, I never encourage impulsivity. Like people like, I'm just going to quit or I got to just change. It's like, no, you find the things that you love most and you start to trickle those into your daily life while concurrently managing your practical life, because you always have to keep a roof over your head and you want to be motivated by financial independence. So you take care of that aspect of your life, but slowly you continue to give a little bit more and a little bit more attention to the things that will align you with your true self, right? Which in your case is going to be, it's going to be taking the skills, the talents, the gifts that you have and finding ways to bring those into a state of service for others, optimistically, without expecting the remuneration, without needing it, but seeing that as if it's to come as a byproduct of following your passion or following your purpose.
Yeah.
And so, and it's a little bit for you to discover, and you probably already know it. You think of the things that give you the most energy, the things that give you the most joy, the things that make you feel the most fulfilled. And then we start to look for some type of practical application of those things, right? That you can do on a regular basis. Like if you had told me a couple of years ago that I was going to be kind of a spiritualist talking about astrology, I would have been like, yeah, it sounds like a bit of a far-fetched idea, but it called to me and it called to me. And so I was doing it for years just for fun. And people were oftentimes would look to compensate me. I continued to do it. I was kind of like you. I got to the point where I got exhausted because I was getting so many requests and I wasn't accepting anything in return. So I had no balance around it. So I had to fine tune the process, but eventually got to the point after doing it for a few years that I just let go of my job altogether. Not because this is an income source that I can sustain myself on, but because I had saved enough money from my other job. And I felt in my heart that I only had 80 years to maximize my time here. And I didn't want to be that 80-year-old man looking back at the 44-year-old me and saying, Allan, why the hell didn't you get out of that job? You were so done with it.
Yeah.
Like you had another calling and it was helping people like crazy. Like, why wouldn't you just have pursued it?
Yeah.
you know, and I don't have a attachment to the material. So I'm not like buying stuff all the time. I don't need to accumulate stuff. I live a relatively modest life. And so the money that I'd saved is enough to sustain me in this kind of more humble, it's not an impoverished existence. It has all my needs met. And so from
Yeah.
there, I was just like, well, then just go into a state of service as much as you can, whatever that looks like, whatever your gifts and talents are, bring those to the surface and see how you can share those with others.
That's great.
And so that's like, and there's nothing preventing you from, it doesn't happen overnight. It's conversations, it's thinking it through, it's trial and error, right? It's being really gentle with yourself as you screw it up and you have to redo it and you feel like it's not working, you have to adjust, right? It's not something we need the inspiration. We don't need the methodology right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so once the inspiration properly takes hold, then you start to see what it looks like from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, this was really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm glad.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks.
I'm glad.